Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. We are presented by BetMGM with you every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday during the baseball season. If you haven't heard already, 3 shows a week. So make sure you set your alarm for Monday and Tuesday to remember to listen to the podcast, especially Monday. Monday's the new day this year. But we've been doing that now for all season. So if you haven't heard yet, now you know again. Rate, review, and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Your Friday crew, your host today, Brendan Glasheen, joined by BJ Cunningham and Charlie DiSturco, are reviewing the 15-game slate. Cubs and Dodgers get underway at 2:20 Eastern this afternoon. If the guys have anything, we'll give it to you. But if you're listening late, apologies. That's the only early game, though. We've got a couple of Apple TV games, Jays Yankees, Astros Braves. Can dive into some storylines, some pretty good pitchers on the mound, some really meaty underdogs. And I was pretty entertained last night by the San Diego-Arizona series that's getting underway this weekend. Fernando Tatis back in the lineup for San Diego. So if we can mix any of that in, we will. As we normally do, we start with best bets for the slate. We'll begin with Mr. BJ Cunningham. What do you got for us on this 15-gamer?
Yeah, I like the under 8 runs in Nationals Twins. It's going to be a little cold in Minneapolis on Friday night. A balmy 31 degrees and snow showers by first pitch. Trevor Williams versus Tyler Mahle. Trevor Williams, I categorize him as a perfectly average starting pitcher. Through first 3 starts, his ERA has been around 3.5. Walk per 9 rate's really low, allowing a very low average exit velocity and a low hard hit rate. And the problem with him, though, is that he's a fly ball pitcher, and the wind is blowing out 11 miles per hour at Target Field tonight. But per Ballpark Pal, which is a guy who projects how many runs will get suppressed or inflated based on the temperatures and the wind at each ballpark, the amount of home runs, given the temperatures, are going to be reduced by about 41%. So even though the wind's blowing out, he gets a little bit of advantage here with being cold temperatures. Mahle, he's an outstanding starting pitcher. 4 straight years now putting up great expected indicators. Since 2020, he's posted an expected ERA below 3.8. He's got an incredibly effective fastball. He only averages around 93 miles per hour on it, but last season, opposing hitters only had a 180 expected batting average against it and had stuff plus rating of 107, which was top 30 in Major League Baseball. And something interesting from his first 3 starts, he's basically abandoned his cutter, which was his 3rd most thrown pitch last season. Now he's throwing his slider 30% of the time, where last season he only threw it about 10% of the time. This offseason, he was quoted as saying basically he struggled with this breaking ball for so long, couldn't find the grip, mindset of where it needed to be. Then he went to a place called Driveline, which is basically an analytics or performance enhancing place for major league starting pitchers. They helped him out. They tailored that slider to the pitch that favors him and in the way his arm angle is. And so far, small sample size, but 30% whiff rate and 196 expected weighted on base average allowed against it. So the Nationals were pretty bad against fastballs and sliders last season, minus 11.4 run values. So with the cold temperatures, I only have 7.2 runs projected for this. So I like the under 8 runs at minus 115.
Okay, on to Charlie. What do you got for a best bet today?
Yeah, it seems like everybody is going to Driveline, like DeBundo and Zerillo said. He went to Jared. He went to Driveline. Pitchers seeing their success rise. I'm targeting a different pitcher that has seen a huge jump in his stuff plus, and that's Graham Ashcraft. The Reds Pirates first 5 under 4.5. Ashcraft actually has the 4th highest stuff plus of all pitchers in Major League Baseball. That's higher than Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns, and Shane McClanahan. He's really sticking to his slider and throwing that a lot more. His fastball slider has been extremely effective, and he's seen his step forward as far as both strikeouts and ground ball rate this season. And his sweet spot's been halved. He's a pitcher that I'm looking to back as the season progresses. I know DeBundo's been heavy on him too. The stuff plus machine that is DeBundo. And Mitch Keller is Action Network's hero. It feels like every single time that man's on the mound, someone's on the Pirates or the under. I'm on the first 5 under here. Top 6% of all pitchers in hard hit rate. Has seen his strikeout numbers jump to 25% for the first time in 4 years. And he's top 30 in stuff plus too. So these are 2 pitchers that are pretty underrated in the market. I have this number closer to 4. So at 4.5 around that -115 mark, I think it's a great spot to back an under here.
Mitch Keller, not only Action Network's hero, but a hero of my hometown, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and a guy I know very well, actually.
There
Great.
we go.
Keller hasn't gone to Jared, but what has he done to be somewhat better?
Well, I wrote about Keller a couple weeks ago. What he's done is he's a very fastball heavy pitcher. He's always had great velocity on it, but what's happened to him in years past is his fastball's gotten too high in the zone. This season, he's keeping it below the hitter's bat, so you can see his barrel rate is way down, hard hits rate's way down, his ground ball rate is up, and that's really been his big success. It hasn't really been, his slider's been good, but it's just keeping his fastball more down in the zone and having better command of it has helped him out.
Yeah, command is huge with him because his issue is walk rate at times, and that's where it can lead to a game spiraling out of control. But he's been able to keep on top of that this year and limit the hard hit rate, and has just been extremely effective in the Pirates rotation.
I mean, looking back at last year, he walked 60 guys in 160 innings. This year, he's at he's 23 innings, 10 walks. The walks.
So walks is an issue. It's just a matter of limiting the hard hit rate and not letting that fastball get too high and crushed. And so far he's been able to kind of mitigate that damage.
Okay, let's go on to fade the public. A lot of big public sides today. I'm looking at the app right now. Houston's getting a good amount of the cash. Even Pittsburgh, referring to Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Pittsburgh's getting love. Milwaukee. Now, some striking ones. Seattle's getting tons of love, and I saw a bunch of you guys went in and grabbed Seattle last night. I'm not sure if there's still value there with the number growing towards the Seahawks, the Mariners. But I want to go to Charlie. It's Friday. I want to go to Charlie first because he is going to go to a team that has looked absolutely putrid in the Oakland Athletics. They've lost 7 games in a row. The franchise has found out that they're going to move to Vegas. Oakland's not thrilled about it, but I love their passion. But I last night getting ready for the podcast, I read your blurb in the Action app, and I'm like, is this? I mean, it was 420 yesterday, so I don't know what the hell you were up to when you went out and you were in a different world on Planet Zippy, but please explain your Shrek comparison to why you're taking Oakland today.
I was on cloud 9 from the Rangers victory. I was at the game last night, so not any festivities, but listen, right. the Athletics money line here at +180, and the reason why I like them here, and I mentioned the Shrek comparison. It's like you Donkey in the beginning of Shrek when he's getting turned in for being this magical creature, and then he gets the magic dust, and he goes and he starts flying, and he's like, "That's right, fool! Now I'm a flying, talking donkey. You might have seen a house fly, maybe even a super fly, but you ain't never seen a donkey fly." And then he goes right back down to earth, and they get him. This is what I see about the Athletics. Right? I like this matchup here, but it's just setting me up for pain of them going up 2-0 and then losing 14-4 after a 7-run 5th inning. But the matchup here is great for them as far as why I think they're undervalued. JP Sears, he's just threw 6 innings of 2-run ball against the Mets and only 3 against the Orioles, 2 of the top 11 teams in baseball as far as hitting left-handed pitching. He's got 254 expected batting average with great control, so he's not going to pitch himself into these issues. And the Rangers are 23rd in WRC plus against left-handed pitching. That's where they struggle. It's the first team in the AL West in the Rangers, but John Gray's on the mound. He's coming back after leaving last start with an injury. He only made 2 innings pitched, and his underlying metrics are concerning. Expected batting average is 254, X slugging near 500. That mirrors his 2020 numbers where he had a 581 expected ERA. What's his expected ERA right now? 541. There's a lot of underlying concerns here. And listen, it's a +180. It's a huge underdog for a reason. But I think the Athletics, and Zerillo's talked about this plenty of times before, they're going to have value as they go 3-16, 3-17, 3-18, however it is. But I think this is a good spot to back them against a Rangers team that doesn't hit left-handed pitching well. I trust Sears, and maybe Donkey will fly away this time instead of coming back down to earth and giving up 7 runs in the 5th.
I see. So the pain of Donkey finding out that he can't fly is
it's the dust, when he gets the dust, and then he's like faking not talking, so they're like, oh, this is just a regular Donkey. Then he gets the dust, and then he thinks he's taken off. So like here I am, I'm like, oh, Athletics are up 2-0 in the 2nd or 3rd. We get a big home run from like Jesus Aguilar, and then all of a sudden it just crashes down like every single athletic start. I mean, look at that Mason Miller start. They start out great, and the next thing you know, in the sixth inning, they go up like 5 or 6 runs and lose by like 10 to the Cubs.
If the A's are successful tonight, I think you should come up with a Pixar reference every Friday when we have you on. Just some sort of comparison, because
Yeah, we can have some fun.
yeah. Took me a second to wrap my head around it, but now having you here and hearing your voice, it makes more sense. BJ, is this a public side you're looking to fade? And just looking at the app right now, Texas getting 89% of the bets. The money's 50-50 according to the Action app on this Friday morning. You can go in this direction. Any other public sides that jump out? I see Tampa's getting a lot of love. Philadelphia to bounce back against the Rockies, kind of to Charlie's point. I mean, the Rockies had a long losing streak going into last night, and the Phillies got blanked by Colorado. So any public side that you're looking to stay away from?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because like I am projecting a little bit of value on the Rockies. If that number floats into the 260, 265 range, I may have to actually play that, because I know Dubundo's been all over this, but Nola's velocity's down, which is a tad concerning. And laying that huge of a number with Philadelphia right now is too much. Staying in the Oakland Rangers game, I actually do like the under 9 runs. Charlie mentioned JP Sears. He's given up 5 home runs in his first 3 starts. He only gave up 8 home runs all last season in around 11 starts. So I don't expect him to continue to give up a ton of home runs. And this is a very friendly pitching environment. And something else for John Gray, I know his expected metrics are bad this season through, a small sample size, but last season he was really good. 3.59 expected ERA. Obviously it was his first season in Texas after having to pitch at Coors Field for a majority of his career. So finally pitching in a good pitcher's type environment was good for him, and he performed very well. So and the other thing with the Rangers lineup is that Corey Seager's now on the 10-day IL. Mitch Haniger's also hurt. So if you look through the Rangers lineup right now, it's pretty bleak. And obviously the A's lineup, you look at it every day, it's pretty bleak. So with 2 really bad offenses here and 2 pitchers that I believe to be average to slightly above average, I like under 9 runs.
Quickly, thoughts on Ohtani and the Angels home against Kansas City. Royals are plus 240. I know Zerillo's on Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, well, Kansas City, it looks like they're going to go with a bullpen game for Taylor Clark. I don't expect him to, go beyond 2 or 3 innings right there. And, the Royals have struggled so far this season hitting wise. And yeah, the number's probably good enough. But I project the Angels at minus 223. So, I mean, you could make a case if they get to, 270, I could maybe play them. But other than that, no, it's a pass for me.
Yeah, way. Okay. Anything there, Charlie, quickly on Ohtani and getting big favorite tonight against the Royals, who've lost 6 straight?
Yeah, I mean, you'll never get Ohtani at a good discount. It feels like there's always going to be value on the other side because the public will be so heavily on him.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a side here. The Angels also have lost a couple straight. I think this is a perfect spot for a bounce back. Yeah, I'm not. It's a pass for me too. I'm not backing the Royals right now. They're one of the worst offenses in baseball at this point as far as success goes. So I think the Angels kind of roll.
Okay, on to our favorite underdogs of the day. Then we'll have a couple more bets from BJ and Charlie. Each of them have a few more, and then we can wrap it up. But we'll start with BJ, favorite dog on the board. Of course, we discussed some, right? Like Oakland and some of those longer shots, but maybe ones that are a bit closer to the favorite. Which dogs do you like today?
Yeah, I like the Marlins, plus 120 on the road against Cleveland. Zach Plesac, good fade material here last season. Drastic overperformer. ERA at 4.3, expected ERA, full run higher. He's gotten lit up in his first 3 starts. 19 hits allowed and 10 earned runs. And here's the problem with Plesac and why he's struggled so much. It really can be just boiled down to his fastball. Last season, he threw it 44% of the time. Opposing hitters had a 308 expected batting average against it and a 418 expected weighted on base average. It had a stuff plus rating of 76, which was bottom 20 among Major League starting pitchers who threw at least 100 innings. This season, he's throwing his slider more. He's trying to hide his fastball. But the problem is yes, he has a great slider, and stuff plus on that slider is very, very good. But when you don't have another pitch outside of that slider, hitters can really key on whatever pitch is going to be coming, whether it be a fastball. And he's also got a changeup, which was also very bad last season. 358 expected weighted on base average allowed, 87 stuff plus rating. So it's not a surprise to see him regress the way he has if hitters are able to key on his fastball and his changeup. He'll be going against Braxton Garrett, who is just a perfectly average Major League starting pitcher. 17 starts last season, 4.05 expected ERA. Not the greatest stuff, but he has great command, location plus of 102. Brought his pitching plus up to 98. So I do give the Marlins a slight advantage in the starting pitching matchup here. And the Guardians were one of the worst lineups against left-handed pitching last season. And something else I brought up a couple pods ago is that the Guardians are also bottom 5 in Major League Baseball in defensive runs saved to begin the season. I understand it's still somewhat of a small sample size, but they were one of the best defensive teams in baseball last season. So when they don't have that type of advantage over a Marlins team, that's just a very average defensive team. I don't really think Plesac should be this big of a favorite. So I like the Marlins at plus 120.
We've talked a lot too about Guardians and their low home run rate as well, to be helpful.
Also be really, really cold in Cleveland as well.
You got to love these April games, huh?
Yep.
Because you can get some edges with the weather. I know the wind becomes a factor and the warmth will be a factor as well. But this time of year, you can find a day where it's hell outside. In Minnesota, like you said, it's in Cleveland today. Always can circle some spots for this really cold. And then you really don't get that again until October, maybe September. Okay, Charlie, this one I'm curious about your analysis because I think a lot of folks over at Action Network are in on this play, and I may or may not have dabbled myself. But a lot of love for the Houston Astros, but it's a different angle, and they're a very short dog. But explain yourself today, please.
Yeah, I'm targeting the Astros over the first 5 innings here. Elder is one of the guys that I've been looking to fade, and this is a perfect spot, I think, to do it because the Astros are pretty undervalued at this point because they've been struggling to start the season. But I think that this offense is going to get going against Elder. He's in the bottom 15% of all pitchers in hard hit rate. That's nearly 50% hard hit rate. The barrel rate has jumped up. His control has been an issue. And he was due for negative regression last year with a 4.25 expected ERA, which was over a run higher than his actual ERA. So when you look at his numbers, just like from a comparison standpoint, they're pretty alarming. And the Astros lineup, as bad as it's been as far as, success in the slow starts from Pena and Bregman and the injuries, this is a great spot to back them. And Hunter Brown's just one of the guys that you want to back. Last year he came in, he was great. This year he's been very good as well. A 222 expected batting average and a 311 expected slugging, a sub 5% barrel rate with 3 main pitches. So he's able to kind of mask himself against this Braves lineup, throwing his fastball a lot less than last year and throwing his slider nearly 20% more. So he's finding more success with that slider. 14 innings of no run ball in those last 2 starts. So no earned runs in the last 2 starts against the Braves offense that he's pitching a lot better. And Elder's a guy that I'm looking to fade. So I like the Astros here at about even money as an underdog against the Braves.
We'll let that slide. Man, is that really a true underdog play? But
Well, I gave you the athletic. You asked me for the athletics.
This is true.
To fade the public. That would have been my underdog. But now we're giving out the Astros over the first 5 here.
All right, fair enough. Okay, final bets, and then we'll get out of here. BJ, you have similar sentiments about the Astros today in the first couple innings.
I like Astros. Yep, I like Astros first 5 as well. I won't get too much into it, but I do project them at minus 132 for the first 5 innings. So I like the value there. I also like the Giants minus 108 at home against the Mets. Joey Lucchesi is back from Tommy John surgery, and I don't know what we're going to get from him today. He's been out. He didn't pitch at all last season. Recovering from that, he's going against DeSclafani, who was bad in 5 starts last season, but this season he's been okay. The season before that, he was around a 3.5 expected ERA pitcher. So, I do project the Giants at minus 127. So I like the value there. Charlie already spoke about, the Reds and Pirates game. I actually do like the Reds for the first 5 at plus 135. I think that number's a little too high for Graham Ashcraft. Like Charlie said, outstanding stuff, plus numbers, has a lot of velocity on his fastball and his cutter to give hitters a lot of trouble with that. And the Reds have been perfectly average against right-handed pitching to begin the season, even though they've been really bad against lefties. So their overall hitting metrics look bad, but they've been good against righties. And then, like I already mentioned, the Twins full game under 8. And I also do like under 4.5 at -120 as well.
Charlie, you got a couple more, including, I know the Mariners. I'm curious because if someone's listening now, are they still playable at where they're at? Because I know you got them close to even money yesterday.
Yeah, I still like the Mariners there's a -125 in the market. I got -120. I'd probably take that 125, maybe 130, but that's probably the highest I would go. I'm going to fade Steven Matz until the cows come home. The small sample size of walks are up significantly from last year. His strikeout rate is back down to career average. He's in the bottom 20% of all pitchers in expected batting average and hard hit rate, has barrel rate issues, and he's just an overall fade right now, nearly 5.5 expected ERA. And then George Kirby's on the mound opposite him. You saw Zerillo, Anthony, myself all put in the Mariners yesterday afternoon when the line dropped. They talked about him nonstop as far as, being a potential Cy Young winner. Maybe that's not, the window is not this season, and he struggled out of the gate to start, but I think this is a perfect spot to back him as a bounce back start. His barrel rate's sub 4% and his hard hit rate's below 40. So when you look at his overall numbers, yes, he has a 310 expected batting average, but that's also come with a 345 batting average on balls in play. So I think that number is going to drop based on how well he's been able to limit that hard contact. It's just the balls have been falling in places that you can't defend. It's not like a defensive issue, and walks are compact to a minimum, a fit down around 3. So I like the Mariners here up to that -130 number. I'm actually going head to head with BJ here on the Mets. I don't like Descalfani. I think that there's a lot to not like about him. He's due for negative regression. It's just when you look at his numbers, compare last year and this year, not much has really changed. He's got a 216 batting average on balls in play. That number is going to go back up to 250, 260, 270, whatever. He's got a 256 expected batting average. So he's getting a bit of luck. Obviously, it's only been 3 starts, but his hard hit rate is nearly 50%. So he's getting hit hard. They're just not really coming with success. And if you look at his 3 starts this season and why he has such a good start thus far, he's played the White Sox, the Royals, and the Tigers. Where they rank 19th, 29th, and 30th in WRC plus. So he's played 2 of the worst teams in baseball and 2 of the 3 worst teams in baseball with the Athletics, wherever you put them. But the Royals and Tigers are pretty bad. And he's got a 13.5% barrel rate thus far. Obviously, really early sample size. But if he's getting hit hard by these teams, I think the Mets are going to be able to get to him. And the way the Mets are playing right now, I'm not sure you can really fade them. Lucchesi, obviously, I'm nervous a little bit about him. But the Giants are 29th in WRC plus against left-handed pitching. And they're the 4th worst strikeout rate. Lucchesi, I think he'd be a little bit of concern right there, but I'm going to back my fellow Italian here, the Mets money line. And then the last play, just real quickly, Mookie Betts over 1.5 total bases. I've been dabbling on player props a lot recently. Pretty successful thus far. So hopefully we keep it going. I bet Mookie over 1.5 total bases against Smiley on Sunday, and he hit it. He's got Smiley's number 11-31 against Smiley with 4 doubles and 2 home runs in his career. Last season against left-handed pitching, 308 average and a 609 slugging with 34 extra base hits and 48 hits. So when he makes contact, he makes hard contact, and usually it goes for extra bases. So I'd have no problem laying Mookie Betts around that -105, 110 number for over 1.5 total bases against Smiley, who doesn't strike out batters.
BJ, he's riding the high from the Oscar Gonzalez home run the other day. So Charlie's got himself a little bankroll now for the player props these days.
Yeah. Seems so.
Was that a dinger? That was Dinger Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it was Dinger Tuesday. It was a left-handed pitching against a righty with power, and he hit his first home run of the season. And it gave me a nice payday.
His only home run so far.
Yeah, he'll have like 10 to 12 at the end of the year or something like that.
Oh, good stuff. All right. That's it. We got to get out of here. Again, we are here Monday, Tuesday, and Friday during the baseball season. You can find Charlie DiSturco, BJ Cunningham in the Action app in case they add anything else. Of course, over the weekend, where there's always baseball to consume, you can find all of our Action Network MLB contributors for their picks and what they may have for you this coming weekend. But we do come to you again on Monday. Thanks for tuning in. We are presented by BetMGM. For Charlie, BJ, Brendan Glasheen, thanks to David Payne for his hard work this week, getting the pod up and running wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you again Monday.